This conference will now be recorded.
Morning, everyone. My name is Sudhakar. Call me as the VSR. I'm your trainer. I will be taking you through the training sessions for HANA Admin 2.0. So today this session will be about the HANA introduction part. Basically, people call it as demo, but this is not demo. We'll be discussing on a topic HA100. HA100, the code based on a certification material, the course content that we're going to get trained on. And few of you might have already seen a session link which is there. So this is the same thing on a live mode to interact with you and get your doubts any clarified. So I'll be taking you through this session. I'll be stopping in between for any quick question and answers. Then we can ask me the questions and get your questions clarified. Until then, please have your questions noted and parked aside. So I'll quickly take you through the introduction part. So my name is VS Rao and I'm your trainer, and this is my profile. I have more than 15 years of experience in SAP. I worked as SAP consultant, senior consultant, lead, project lead, and project manager for SAP projects. I worked on various SAP support, implementation, and migration projects and upgrade projects of SAP and S4 HANA and Suite on HANA. I also worked as a corporate trainer with various MNCs across the globe, and currently, I focus and I work as a senior solution architect with an MNC, and I'm also working on niche areas of SAP Leonardo, which deals with SAP Internet of Things, which is staged to come out as a full-fledged product by SAP in 2023. So this is about my profile in short. Second. And I'm certified in various SAP technologies and the cloud platforms, and I'm also a certified PMP project management professional. So coming to the agenda of this discussion today, we'll be seeing the list of topics that we're going to cover on HANA admin and what are things that are covered hands-on practicals. So basically all SAP HANA administration topics are hands-on, 100% practicals. Like the key areas will be about the sizing, HANA sizing, which is basically done by people with minimum of 12, 10 years of experience in SAP. Then why do we need, if you may be beginning their HANA career just now with this session and all. See, basically, HANA sizing plays a very vital role in SAP HANA projects because HANA itself is a different hardware and database component. Here we have to define your DB. Based on your DB, you have to define your memory because this is an in-memory database. So those aspects we'll see. Whether before you start working on any server, you have to ensure that your server is properly sized. If not, you may end up requesting for more memory and other resource requirements in middle of the task execution of migration or implementation. And new inclusion is HANA Cockpit. Cockpit is a new tool which is introduced by SAP as a replacement for the SAP HANA Studio Front-End GUI, which basically deals with the multi-tenant database containers, MDCs and SDCs. So tenant DB administration, this is another niche area to have cost cuttings in terms of multiple operating system licenses and multiple DB instances that we run in a landscape. Live server access on SAP HANA appliance. So basically the hardware and DB combination of HANA is called as appliance. So you will not be using any demo server with just SAP GUI access. With SAP all access and all people with SAP background, they know it. We are actually going to use and we're going to provide the live server access. We'll be accessing the server like this. from any place, like you have just internet, you can get connected to the data center, and from there can from this data center will be connected to our Linux machine on which the HANA would be running. So this is a Linux box. This is coming with minimum 50 GB, 49 GB of RAM. Okay, on this you will be installing the instances with the root user. And this is a certified appliance. Like there's a difference between a certified appliance and normal customized server. So we'll be using a certified HANA appliance on Linux to install HANA. We'll be doing the HANA 1.0 installation first, and then upgrade to 2.0. All like you'll be doing upgrade practicals, installation practicals, and HANA DB backup and recovery. All this. And added to this, additionally, we'll be covering the additional topics like installation and migration tools, SWPM, some DMO, code with practicals on tools and theory hands-on for S4HANA and Suite-on installation. See, basically just HANA, learning HANA DB will not be sufficient. See, basically in the market, they'll tell you like if you're coming from non-SAP background, learn basis by paying one course fees and learn HANA by paying one course fees. But I don't suggest that. Like, it is a combination of both and it has to go together. Like if you're learning HANA, you need basic skills also. If you're not having basic skills, you need HANA skills also based on the current job market requirement. So that's the reason the course content is designed in this way. It is a combination of both. These are your certification contents: HA 100, 200, 201, 215, 240, and 250. Your topics are aligned with this certification course material, and these all are additional topics, the top ones. You can see from here, HA 201 deals with availability and DR setups. So this Excel sheet is maintained like this. This is our previous batch, on which date we cover this date, and the class number would be there. And everyday sessions will be uploaded into the Google Drive. You can revisit them while doing the practicals. And HA 200 is complete HANA administration topics. 215 root cause analysis. How you troubleshoot the system in complete offline system mode. And HA 240 is additionally included for HANA security. And HA 250 is for your some DMO and tools. This only talks about some DMO tool, but nowhere it talks about SWPM. We are additionally covering the above topics. See here, different sets of SWPM tool and versions. For products less than network 7.0, for products above 7.0, and latest products for Suite on HANA and S4HANA. What is Suite on HANA and what is S4HANA, which is crucial, and the installation of live cockpit 2.0, live installation 1.0 with root access, live upgrade from 1.0 to 2.0. You will be doing all these practicals. I'll be showing it and you'll be doing all these practicals. The installation steps and procedure documents, handout documents will be given. People who are not from Linux administration background, the Linux administration will be dealt with one separate session. Different start-stop procedures. Again, basis monitoring on a live S4HANA system will be covered. If we not a demo one, the live one. If not the live one, we'll try to arrange from the previous one. So these are all additional topics. These 21 topics which you see on the top are covered additionally as apart from the HANA admin, which are very much essential for you to get into the job, or if you're already working on the job, the niche areas. And again, how do you get connected to the AWS, GCP, or Azure cloud platforms? What is the difference in on-premise and cloud versions? How do you download the software from the marketplace? So this is on the course content part. Certification guidance and material will be given as shown, like HA 100, 200. This is a material that you need to get through with the certification, and how to apply for certification. What is the certification procedure? That guidance will also be given. Post course completion support and guidance. See, I'm assuring like my support and guidance even after the course completion, because I am very confident, like, what are the training that I have given, the content that I have framed will help you to work on in any HANA project or any SAP project, that support, implementation, or migration. What I request from your end is do the practicals, attend all the live sessions. After attending the sessions, commit daily for at least 30 to 1 hour of time additionally for doing practicals. Complete the today's practicals today itself, because this is a complete 100% practical oriented training program. If you postpone your practicals, like, okay, today to attended session today, I'll do my practicals tomorrow, tomorrow's practical day after tomorrow, like that, the things gets piled up and you will be again starting afresh, revisiting the sessions and all. So that will not help. So make your time and arrangements in such a way that you are attending the sessions, and additionally you are making another 30 minutes to 1 hour of time for doing the hands-on practicals before the next session. So let's get into the topic. Any questions on this course content and the material and other areas? So we are getting into the introduction part now.
Yeah. Sudhakar, just one question. So, as you have suggested that we'll be having that Google Drive to see the classes sessions also, right? If you want to refer the older sessions or older classes, we will be able to have it handy, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Got it. Thank you.
So can I have some quick introduction, like how many of you are from SAP background, or anyone from non-SAP background? Please let me know.
Yeah, so Sudhakar, as you know, I'm not from SAP. Work as a database admin, primarily Oracle. So
Database, which database admin?
Oracle database.
Oracle database, no problem. We have admins from DB2 admin background also. Any administration background is fine. That's good. Who are completely from non-technical, non-admin background? Okay. Fine then.
Yeah. Hi, Sudhakar. This is Jatin. Yeah, I'm into SAP basis and also have knowledge of database administration too, Oracle database administration too.
Great. Okay. Few of you I already know. Rama, I know. Venkat, I know. Eunice, you mentioned. Jatin, you mentioned just now. Okay. Abhinav, yes, I know. Okay, fine. Let's move on. Okay, so let's see why SAP HANA was downloaded by SAP. See, we all know SAP is a global #1 ERP company, which is almost running for now not 40, we crossed 2020, so it's almost more than 50 years. It started in somewhere in 1971, right? So, and still progressing as a global #1 ERP. The HANA software, see, these are basic questions. Why one has to go with SAP? It supports all hardware architectures, runs on all available databases. SAP support for all operating system, DB, and hardware issues. Then why SAP has to come up with its own database? Why its own HANA hardware? Why SAP stops its support by 2025 or 27 with the third-party databases? See, the reason is we have many ERPs in the market, but SAP is the only ERP product that supports its ERP implementation on any OS, any DB combination. For example, you have my Microsoft Dynamics ERP. It can be deployed and run only on Windows and Windows MS SQL database platform. You cannot run it on Linux or any other DB. Similarly, there were many small ERP players who were there in the market, and all of them were acquired by SAP, Oracle. And now all small companies were acquired, and Oracle has developed its own ERP, and that gives about 10% of that takes about 10% of the market share globally. But still, SAP stands as a global leader in ERP market. Let's see what are its reasons to stand as a global leader, not for 1 year, 2 year, but 10 years or 20 years, but almost 40 to 50 years. And it's not a small thing. Because this is something you don't get it in Google, you don't find to read it anywhere. There are things based on your personal experience, and I am also associated with, I have privilege of working with SAP and SAP Labs, and I was closely associated with SAP during this time, innovation times of HANA DB. So one second. And HANA DB administration is completely the admin oriented. So these are why SAP HANA was developed global #1 ERP, and it still stands as a global leader. The proof points can just type in that keyword in Google, you get it. Why SAP HANA was developed by SAP? Support of all hardware architecture, runs on all available databases. SAP support for all OS, DB, and hardware combinations. Just for understanding, see, this is something completely on an administration level. So that's the reason I was mentioning, like, administration background. So these are different types of hardware combinations we have. x86 platform, IBM PPC, HP Titanium, Oracle Sun Spark, x86_64, AS400 for IBM I series. These are all hardware platforms. And operating system, OS 400 is operating system for IBM I series. Open source Linux, SUSE Linux, Red Hat Linux for x86 platforms. Sun Solaris Spark operating system. Sun Microsystems was acquired by Oracle, and now it is called as Oracle Linux. Sun Solaris is called as Oracle Linux, and Oracle DB and Oracle ERP goes with the Oracle Linux and Oracle DB only now. So HP Unix, developed for HP Titanium servers. IBM Power Machines, it has its own Unix flavor developed, so that is called AIX. And Windows we know anyways, on Intel platform and x86 platforms. So other architectures are these ones. So SAP supports all these platforms, all these combinations of hardware and operating system. So if I'm developing, see, simple example is, if I'm talking to you, I'm talking in English. We both are talking to each other in a common medium of communication. What if I have to talk to each of you in your own local dialect or local language, your mother tongue? So I have to communicate with 10 of you people in 10 different languages in 10 different ways in 10 different sessions. Just imagine that. So that is about the efforts. And similarly, to write a program for these many combinations of operating systems, these many combinations of databases, these many combinations of OS and DB combinations. And again, this combination could go like this: MS SQL Windows, AX Oracle, AX DB2, AX Sybase, AX MaxDB, and HP Unix Oracle, HP Unix DB2, HP Unix Sybase. Like this, these permutations and combination of whatever number of combinations are there, SAP has to develop the code and provide the support for it. So being this complex, also SAP was giving support, which was not there with any other ERP. Small company, small organization wants to go for implementation, they simply go with Windows and SQL or Windows and Oracle combination. Or big and robust organizations who are worried about the data security and uptime and all, they go with Linux and Unix flavor systems. And who want to go with the robust machines without zero downtime and all, IBM I series. power machines and I-series and all. So SAP has the capability to cater to any customer requirement, small to large, small to medium, large, and large scale enterprises. So this is one advantage. So then why SAP has to, all this is good. So when SAP has so many databases, so many operating system supports, so then what is wrong? Why SAP has to come up with its own database? Why it has to start HANA? Okay. So let's see why it has to come up with HANA. See, issues, that SAP application performance issues, sources of issues. Because these many combinations, if I'm talking to 10 different people, 10 different combinations, 10 different queries, it's tedious, that will become tedious, right? But still SAP was managing it the same way for almost 30 years. Till 2011 and 10, it was managing the same way 30 years. For past 9-10 years, we are shifting our base slowly onto HANA. So application performance issues, when they come, SAP has capability to sort those performance issues. But anything related to OS, DB and combination, SAP has to get back to the vendor. And half of these vendors are, half of these fellows are competitors. You see, Windows is also a competitor. Oracle is a competitor. So they don't give any upfront support or proactive support to SAP. Whatever agreements they have, they don't give. Even SAP finds the root cause, boss. You have problem with your Oracle DB, and this has to fix. This patch needs to be released. Oracle won't release because they're competitors. Long back they started using it, but in between Oracle has started its own ERP and all. So like this, some practical challenges. Who has to get? Who is in trouble? SAP, and SAP customer is in trouble. SAP is facing performance issues, not just because of its application, but because of the dependent hardware, dependent operating system, and dependent database. Because of these things, they started facing problems. Online support. You may raise ticket to SAP online support. SAP is supposed to give support. No matter what operating system, what hardware, what you run on, because of the SAP licensing and 10% annual maintenance support cost that customer pays to SAP, SAP will give support. And when SAP finds the primary solution, okay, primary issue always, whether it's OS related or DB related, hardware related, they find it and they help us. But to get that solution, SAP has to wait for solution from the relevant partner. So there, the bottleneck is multiple old hardware architectures, old DB architectures. So another challenge is few of these databases were recently upgraded for past 10 years. But then the major challenge before HANA was, because most of these technologies were again copied from HANA DB in memory. Now almost all DBs claim in memory and all, but still nothing gives the flexibility and feasibility given by HANA. As you know, once the one thing comes into market after 10 years, slowly it gets copied and remarketed with a different name and all. So old hardware architectures, old DB architectures, like even if you install old, from now on, I'll not be saying taking Oracle, MS SQL database names. I'll be saying third-party databases or third-party operating system. Our database is HANA, our operating system is SUSE Linux. We'll come to that. So old DB hardware architectures. So if you install some third-party databases on a latest hardware also, with multiple CPUs, 2 physical CPUs, 8 cores of CPUs, or 64 cores of CPUs, it will still work picking up one CPU core at a time. Because the operating system and DB is not designed to make use of that additional CPUs available. See, to make you understand, you are being allocated to get some civil work done. Okay. To get your civil work done, I'll give you some 10, 20 laborers or 20 people to work under you. Okay, if you make the 20 people stand in a line, you're calling one person and giving a task and asking him to work for 2 hours, then go back, stand in the line, and then you are allocating a job to the second person again after the 2 hours. So that's what happens with the old DB architectures and these databases. But wherein if I give that 20 people to HANA, it will say 20 people don't stand in a line one by one, stand in a horizontal line. This is the job. All 20 people be on the job and complete it in a 1 hour or 10 minutes. So the given task is distributed across available resources in HANA. So that kind of capability was not there in old operating systems or old DB architectures or hardware. So that was a major bottleneck. So no matter whether you upgrade your hardware, increase the RAM or CPU, the bottlenecks were at the DB and the OS, what SAP application could do. So 80% of SAP support staff supports third-party OS, DB and hardware issues, screening for SAP customers. And all this can be eliminated with the in-memory database, with the own database, HANA hardware and SLES after 2027. That was a main agenda. So how are we saying this confidently we can eliminate everything? So we need to know what is HANA, what is HANA hardware and HANA architecture. See, these third-party databases, I know few people are with the DB admin. It's not like, we are degrading something and all. We are practically learning the differences between that third-party databases and how HANA is different. HANA is completely a next generation database with majority of things being automated and simplified so that we can focus on better innovations and better developments and better administration of the SAP product landscape. SAP has 55 plus products in SAP's portfolio. The primary product starts with ERP S/4HANA. There are many additional components, additional products. So if you are struggling with only with this DB application support and all, we cannot get on with it. Like it is working on this IoT things now. So that is the roadmap. And SAP has invested a lot of money not only developing this software database software, but also it was forced to develop its and invent its own, redesign its own HANA hardware also. So this is a very wonderful journey. We'll see that. So who all can learn SAP HANA? So there are about 4,25,000 customers across the world, SAP customers across 180 countries. Okay. So as of third quarter of 2019, SAP total of 12,000 customers have subscribed for S4 HANA and migrated towards HANA from 2014 to 2019. So still we have not even this 5% of SAP existing customers have completely migrated to HANA. So we have more than 90% of SAP customers who are running on third-party databases and who are yet to migrate towards HANA. So this was actually given date as support end date as 2021. This was supposed to end this year, but they have extended it because majority of the companies were large-scale enterprises. For them, for making this big shift and rollout is not possible within 5 years of time. If they start upgrade from from country 1, and if they do the upgrades, finish all the countries and come back, it will take minimum 8 years. And by the time they complete one cycle in one geographical region, the another new release will come from SAP in 1-2 years. So that complex and that big landscapes are there in SAP's customers. So for them, SAP has extended its time again till 2027 as a final end date. So more skilled HANA admin resources are needed for S4 HANA migrations for remaining 4,13,000 customers who all can learn. Any DB admin, any SAP basis admin, any OS admin, OS, Windows OS or Unix or any OS admin can learn, or freshers who have passion towards application administration can learn. Any person from a development coding background, this is a strict no. Few of people might have already spoken to me on sessions and calls and all. for your queries when you inquire with our coordinators. So that's what I recommend, because this is not a development world. This is purely a administration game and administration profile. So this is any admin can learn, because this they can correlate. And people are working on other databases, you will find it very simple and easy, but at the same time it's not that easy and that complex also. If what is needed is presence of mind and understanding the concept. We as a human tendency, we keep comparing with older data. I have experience working on almost all databases prior to HANA. When I was working with SAP, I worked more than 25 plus implementation and implementation projects in SAP and S4 HANA. Worked on about 30 plus upgrades and migrations, and virtually I worked on many projects. So let's see, what is HANA. HANA is a solution for in-memory computing engine. Any doubts on this so far till here?
No,
Any questions?
no, Sudhakar.
Okay, fine. So SAP HANA acronym means for High Performance Analytic Appliance. Okay, approximately 90% of SAP HANA coding is written in C++. Business users of all levels are empowered to conduct immediate and ad hoc data analysis. The transaction processing using massive amounts of real-time data for expanded business insight. What is this? See, basically SAP is developed on a programming language called as ABAP, Advanced Business Application Programming Language. That language is completely developed on C++, coding. I am also against coding. I don't know nothing about coding, but yes, C++ is basic for foundation for most of the programming languages. So on C++, based on C++, so SAP language ABAP was also developed, and similarly HANA was also built on C++. So what is this real-time data transaction for expanded business insight? So it says it gives immediate and ad hoc data analysis, transaction processing using massive amounts of real-time data. What is this massive amount of real-time data, that too in real time? So to know this, first we need to know how the data is getting processed now or before HANA and after HANA. So let's get to that. So this is very important. Few of might have already listened to it, but still I want to take it live. You can see my screen, right? Okay. See, let us say our typical DB, not only SAP, any application, forget about SAP, or any application. Basically, we have 200 GB DB size. What we'll have is we'll have some 20 GB of RAM, 848 cores of CPU. And if you used to see, look at this sizing for old systems, it used to be primarily focused on what is the amount of DB size. Because people were, in those days, people were more concerned about data security. The more disk space you have, you can accommodate, you can stuff in more DB and more data into it. That's the mindset. Even I've worked on such kind of environment. I've been through that. Very rarely people used to concentrate on the number of CPU cores and speed and other things, because it hardly used to make any major difference, because these boxes or database platforms, or no matter whatever number of RAM and CPU you accommodate, it works in the same age-old method. It doesn't give any differentiating output. Okay, so in this kind of situation, let's say like you have 20 GB of this is the DB size, 200 GB. One second. Okay, your DB size is to 200 GB, and there is a transaction requirement where you have to read the entire database. You have to, like, you have some sales report to be pulled out from the system, and you have some 20 branches across the country, and for running for the data that is required, you have to analyze at which sales point or sales locations are running better, and to analyze that you have to scan the entire DB. You have to read the entire database. So you are running that report. So once the 20 GB of the data is processed, okay, in SAP we have dialog mode and background mode processes. The processes which run in background and processes which run in foreground. Irrespective of that, in a simple layman terms, we are trying to read the DB data. So the data can, whatever the memory you have in your server on the physical server at hand, 20 GB. So up to 20 GB, the data can be read and hold. Beyond that 20 GB, it cannot hold any further data to process and give back the output. So it gets terminated with a memory dump. TSV, memory page allocation error. Especially we get this memory dumps are given with this code in SAP. This kind of dumps are there in any SAP, in any non-SAP applications also, memory outage issues and all. So why I'm saying non-SAP applications now is because HANA is not just used as a database for SAP applications alone, but this is open in the market as a database product. It is used with majority of analytics products. Like number one ERP is SAP. Number one analytics product is big data. Big data used to run on Hadoop. Now big data also uses HANA DB for its real-time data processing for hard data. Okay, we'll see, we'll discuss these examples as we proceed in further sessions. So 20 GB of data being processed here. After that, it cannot load any more data in cache. 20 GB is utilized. You'll get a memory dump error. So ideally, if it is less than 20 GB, it process the data, it will calculate the data, and it will send the data back with the result to the user. But the moment when we are giving it more than the capacity it can hold, it is getting outage errors, memory outage error. So what we have a procedure for this in SAP. The basis guys know it. So we'll ask the user to schedule it in a background mode. What happens in the background? This runs in a non-peak hours, and it will process the same amount of requested job or data in pieces, in bits and pieces. It will break that 200 GB into 10 pieces. 10 into 20 GB, 200 GB. And each job will run for 1 hour at least. And for 10 jobs, it will run, and the 10 jobs data gets consolidated. Then I'll get the output after 10 hours. So this is how the data is processed in the background. If you want to process the huge amounts of data, massive amounts of data. Is this real time? Massive amounts of data, 200 GB is getting processed, but I'm getting the output after 10 hours. What if I get it in a 1 or 2 minutes? That is called real-time data processing. Okay, if you ask me some question today, I'll say, I'll find out, I'll check, I'll tell you tomorrow. That is background processing. Okay. So if I say like I'm giving you the updates right away on the call, I'm clarifying doubts and all, that's a real-time processing. A simple example. So this real-time data processing can be done with the in-memory. So our SAP scientists and engineers thought, why not? Why can't we do this? So they have come up with the thought process of doing it. But what is causing the problem here? The main culprit is the memory. So why can't we put memory equal to that of DB size? If DB size is 200, yeah, why are you putting only 20 GB here? What if I put 200 GB of RAM? Will it still get outage? So logically, the framework and the draft for the in-memory database started with these questions. So they've seen all permutations and combinations. Okay, if I have memory equal to that of DB size, it should not fail. I should not get a memory dump errors. Let us experiment it. So the logical draft and blueprint was ready, but we need a hardware which comes with minimum 200 500 GB of RAM. So that's where the So logically, permutations and combinations, questions, challenges, queries, everything proven to be okay, successful. But doing a practical work, the physical server is needed with a minimum 500 GB of RAM. So our SAP scientists went into the market and put out a call, request for all the hardware vendors, boss, we need a server with the 500 GB RAM, a minimum of 30 to 64 cores of CPUs, minimum 4 physical CPUs are needed on the box. So these all hardware vendors were psyched up, like, oh, what these guys are asking. Is SAP team gone out of mind? Are you talking about 500 GB RAM or 500 GB disk space? So these people were confidently pursuing, no, we need RAM, we need 500 GB RAM. See, in those days, up to 2008 and 9 and 10, till HANA came into picture, the highest available memory on the server in a hardware market is HP Superdome servers, which comes with 128 GB accommodable memory on the physical machine, which used to be shipped with a maximum of 98 or 64 GB of RAM on board. If you want to go till 128, you have to remove all existing sticks and replace with a 16 GB sticks on all slots. So that was the market situation, and these fellows were looking, it was like a comedy for all other people, like, what these guys are asking, is these people really in senses, or are that asking these questions are out of senses, because that was practically not possible then. But still, SAP took that challenge. SAP has invested so much money in developing its own HANA hardware. I'm showing you these investments, right? See, these drastically, these investments are, in those days, are heavy investments for S4 HANA and HANA. So the output of it is in-memory database. So finally, nobody could come. SAP has to start its own facility for research and development of HANA hardware. First is HANA software. It is done. Then there is no one who could provide its hardware. It cannot back out from its project. So it started developing its own HANA hardware, recruiting the required team. So HANA has developed its own HANA hardware platform, which can accommodate a minimum of up to 4 terabytes of RAM and 64 core to 400 cores of CPUs in a HANA server. So that's how the journey started. And in this combination, SAP has selected, they don't want to go with any of these fellows, the existing operating system. So it has picked SUSE Linux. SUSE Linux was an open source operating system nobody is used to use. Few developers used to use it. So it has picked SUSE Linux, and it has funded for the development of SUSE Linux as per the needs of SAP HANA. It will be soon acquired, but they're still maintaining it as an open source one. And HANA DB. So now the hardware on top of HANA hardware, on top of the operating system, which is almost owned and nurtured by SAP, it has developed its HANA DB, in-memory computing engine. So when this memory equal to that of DB size was loaded, the initial load testing was done, and as expected, this data is getting processed in 1 to 3 minutes. The same amounts of data, it was tested with analytical data, first of all, with the bots, business objects data running with MS SQL and Windows combination, or some third-party DB and OS combination. The same amount of data was copied onto HANA DB with the business objects, and same amount of reports were run and tested. It was taking 10 hours, 8 hours of background jobs and all. Here it is getting executed in 1 to maximum of 3 minutes in a real-time data processing. So the 60% of load is reduced, and here the challenges is, every time in a normal database, this entire data is loaded into the in-memory, and whenever you process a data from your DB level, here you have your GUI, right? From GUI, whenever you give a request, the data will go till the disk layer, CPU, read it and come back to the front-end user. It has to go read the data from the disk and it has to come back and give it to your front-end user. But all the read transactions are avoided here, eliminated here. Why? Because entire data is loaded into the memory. So every time the data need not be fetched from the disk level, because entire memory is sitting in the cache loaded into in memory. Then if you have 20 GB of data, is only sits in the cache here. Whenever first time I accessed from 5 GB, you have accessed another 10 GB, another 10 GB. So when the third time when you access another 10 GB, the first 5 GB sitting in the cache is pushed out, and the latest 20 GB will always sit in the memory. So whichever is not there in the cache has to be read and accessed from the DB. This is how the normal databases work. But in HANA, you have memory equal to that of DB size. So that's the reason we run SGen and we run, you see that frequently accessed transactions are always faster, even in your Android phones. Frequently opened apps and all are faster. When you do a restart, when you start the app for the first time again after the reboot, it takes time to load. Again, when you access the same app or same transaction for the second time, it gets loaded faster because it is loaded in the cache, in the temporary memory of the system or the database or the application or your Android phone, for example. But here I'm having memory equal to that of DB size, so entire 200 GB sitting in the temporary memory. So all read transactions are provided from the memory itself. So here the 60% of the load gets reduced. You don't have to go and read till the disk level. What are sent till disk? Only the update transactions. So here itself you are getting a straight performance uprise of 60%. 60% of performance load is straight away cut down here. Only 40% of transactions go till disk only, which are needed for update. We'll see this in detail again when we go through the HANA DB architecture. So this is what I was talking about. High performance, now we know this, right? High volumes of processing of data volumes in real time. It also has tools for data modeling. For modeling the data include tools for data modeling and data lifecycle management in real time for processing the data in row store and column store. And compared to other databases, all databases, they process the data either in row or column, but not in both. This supports both. We'll see that row store, column store in the next session. And provide support for multiple interfaces. This supports not only for SAP but also for non-SAP applications and third-party integrations also. So this is hardware was developed like with a multi-core CPU architecture up to 32 physical CPUs, and it can accommodate up to 28 cores per CPU. Now it has, like, each physical CPU can accommodate up to 32 and 64 cores also. So do the computation. What is cores? See, if I have one physical CPU, if it can accommodate 8 cores, it is called octa-core. We are getting this octa-core in the mobile phones now. It really is to get it in the servers. See, that's on technology innovation side with the nanotechnology. So 32 into 28, how much? How many cores? The minimum 32 physical CPUs, and each physical CPU can accommodate up to 28 cores, 896 cores on single machine. If I have 4 CPUs with 28 cores, my calculation will be like this. I'll have 112 cores in the server, and I can go up to 24 terabytes of memory with Intel Optane and other CPU processors. So these are the innovations on the hardware side. And software side, it can process the data in memory. Additionally, added to that, there are another advantages. So understanding these advantages is more important. These are the reasons where we cannot compare third-party databases with HANA or HANA with third-party databases. Third-party databases cannot run in these hardwares. Third-party databases cannot hold the data in column store and row store together in a single instance. They need to be installed as a separate, either complete row store or complete column store, but cannot be both. HANA can do it both. In HANA, complete thing is compression. Compression, it compresses up to 70%. It does a partitioning is very well defined and detailed. We'll see these topics again in detail. We'll go further, much deeper with the architecture level information. No aggregate tables, insert only delta mechanism. There's no duplication of data and all. So if you're bringing a data from with a 1000 GB from third-party database onto HANA, it will happily come down to 300 GB. 10 terabytes will come down to 3 terabytes when you're migrating it onto HANA. That's another advantage. So the advantages list is very big. So this HA100 talks about the introduction part, how HANA is different and all. In spite of all this, we still have a human tendency of we go back and compare with third-party databases. That's fine, that's okay. But we need to understand these concepts very well so that we'll get the rest of the things in an easy way. So in the past, the DB used to be processed like this is your disk layer or a persistence layer. Here the disk layer and the persistence layer. This okay, this image is cropped. You're getting a request from here in the past. This is the flow. Okay, the request comes from GUI front end. CPU will take it and then it will come to memory and it will go to your disk level. So whatever memory is sitting in the cache, this will be in your cache. Whichever cannot be the whichever is in the cache will get processed immediately. Whichever is not in cache, what happens? It has to go till the disk level, read it from here. So almost all transactions has to be read and sent back to the system user. So every time you have to hit the disk and come back, hit the disk and come back for fetching the data. But that's not the case with the HANA DB now. So here with HANA DB, we have this multi-core server architecture. Okay, this database is smart and it knows how to make use of the resources. And added to this, the entire data is stored with the row store, column stored separately. The partition is very well defined and it has very good compression. And the way the data goes and sits into the database is very good. We don't have to do indexing, archiving, or DB reorg jobs that we do on a regular basis on third-party systems. That we'll discuss. Okay. So when I give a job to this, it has only one CPU. Here, the job is distributed among this team or number of CPU cores, and parallel processing will happen. The job will happen with the parallel processing capabilities. This is all CPU cores will be working in parallel. All these CPU cores will be working in parallel. So this is a typical representation diagram. These diagrams are there in your material that will be giving HA100 and 200. So you can go through it and read. It's the same thing will be explained in detail in word by word. So this is about row store and column store in a simple representation diagram, the way the data is stored and the data is discarded when you read a transaction. So we'll see this we have to discuss in detail with the architecture. So HANA proof point, so same amount of data with all these capabilities of hardware and software level, when it was run on HANA DB, 3600 times faster reporting speed has been identified. And this is not survey done by SAP, but this is a proof point survey done by a third party organization. And 460 billion records were analyzed in less than a second. And average revenue increase in revenue by 21%. Now this is something different. How this is helpful in increasing the revenue? A simple example is you and I are into a business. I am running my analytics on some third-party database. I need to go for a bid. For that, I need to rely on my business data. I'm going to get that data tomorrow morning. wherein you guys are using, you are my competitors, for example, you are running your analytics tools on HANA, and you are getting this the same amount of data that I require, you also require to go for the bid. So that is something RFP, or request for proposal data, that clause you need to comply with. So that data you got within minutes, and you guys applied for it and you got the bid. I'm still waiting for that data till tomorrow. So I'm losing my business here. So people who have had this advantage of using HANA in those days or even now, they are making revenue, average increase in revenue by 21%, because they have this edge on the business critical decisions. And after all this story and hush and fuss, what happened to this hardware? See, SAP is a software company. It's an ERP service provider. They don't want to get into the headache of manufacturing hardware and distribution, marketing, and giving support for hardware parts and tools, etc. So what SAP HANA hardware team did is, SAP has its own patent rights on HANA hardware, and it has outsourced this manufacturing things. These fellows came and asked these hardware vendors who made fun of SAP in the beginning. Yes, literally they made fun of SAP in the beginning days when SAP requested in-memory database and all. We used to talk with peers in SAP, and we used to get to know these challenges and discussions internally happening. So finally, these hardware vendors partnered with SAP, and these guys will manufacture hardware on behalf of SAP and pay the loyalty share to SAP. SAP holding the patent rights, SAP will have full control on the hardware. If SAP today wants to stop this model and go with a new model, it will go, and these partners, hardware partners, has to comply with that. And whatever changes SAP demands on this changes or corrections in hardware, they have to do, because SAP HANA holds the ultimate authority of this hardware. So like this, SAP has now complete control on the hardware, operating system, database, and obviously SAP is its own SAP application. Now it doesn't have any dependency on third-party applications. It doesn't have to run or go with that. Slowly SAP has moved HANA from analytics to ERP, then ERP powered by HANA to S4 HANA in 2015. So in 2015, it is completely confident. I'm completely confident that I don't have to talk in 10 different languages, 10 people and all. I'll say I'll teach only in English. If you wish to learn, you learn from me. If not, I'm sorry, I cannot teach. So this is the stand of SAP. It started saying, boss, if you have to run, you have to run on HANA DB with SUSE or any other operating system combinations with exceptions. I'll tell that. Not only SUSE, there are operating systems. We'll discuss before installation and all, how it came, what are its challenges and all. So this is a journey of SAP HANA hardware and hardware. This is the crux of context of HA100. So to run on HANA, you need minimum ERP 6.0, EHP6, SUSE 11, SP1 and above. IMC is basically stands for in-memory computing engine. The actual HANA name is IMCE, in-memory computing engine. The R&D name given to it. And with S4 HANA, this analytical reports which we used with a separate BW or bot system, all the standard reports are given inbuilt. Finance report, sales report, purchasing reports, on generate reports are given within the S4 HANA system. And recently in 2017 and 18, we have this cockpit came into picture. Along with the cockpit, we have 2.0 with the multi-tenant database containers. See, the innovations are coming for every 2 years. If you see, notice it, the changes are constant. The developments are not changes. The learning and the change and the change for development is constant in SAP. 2.0, it came up with a multi-tenant database architecture, giving another additional advantages in DR setups, HS setups, and administration of DBs, having one complete database dedicated for all non-production instances and 1 DB for production instances. Like this. This is a non-production DB, HANA DB. For example, here we are running it on ERP and CRM. So all development and quality systems in one DB, it will be running here. and all production instances in 1 DB. What will be in coming classes, we'll be discussing what is Suite on HANA, what is S4 HANA. Even people with working on SAP and SAP projects with 10-20 years of experience also doesn't have proper clarity what is Suite on HANA and S4 HANA. This is very important for us to understand the concepts and move ahead with the implementations or work on migration projects. So we'll be discussing this along with SUSE Linux administration and all. So any questions so far that we have discussed on? I'm open for questions, please. I'm stopping the recording now.